Hey foodies, today we're gonna throw on and start making some pork kebabs. For that, I am going to use Costco's wonderful pork medallions they make. They pre-roll them. Typically, there's usually a package of about 25. I brought them back and rubbed them a little more and froze them. And I am going to cook those in the Instapot rather than sous vide them, because with our other experiment, if you watch my videos, you'll find out that the Instapot gets us where we need to go much better, much quicker for the cooking phase. So keeps the moisture in. So I'm going to Instapot these pork medallions too. So they're rubbed and ready to go. I've thrown some water and a little bit of pineapple juice and some apple cider vinegar in the bottom to pressure cook them with. And when we're done with that, we are going to make our kebabs with veggies. We'll show you that in a minute. And we're going to smoke those for 2 hours, and then we're going to grill them really quick. All right, we are going to put these in on pressure cook. It looks like it's got memory, even though it's unplugged from last time. It keeps it at 23 minutes, is what we did for the pork ribs. These are frozen just like the ribs were. They are broken down a little smaller than ribs. I would imagine they need a little less time, so I'm going to give them 20 minutes, and we're going to start with that. All right, so while you're getting food cooked for 20, 30 minutes or whatever is over in your pressure cooker, there's other things you can get ready. So we're going to get the smoker ready, because it takes a little bit of time to get at least in a pellet smoker, to get the smoke going and get everything up to temperature. And so we're outside on the patio. We got the smoker open. It's turned on. It's getting ready right now. But I want to show you also this ugly, nasty thing here called a smoke tube. And the reason I'm going to use a smoke tube with the smoker today is we found out when we started pellet smoking a while back that the amount of smoke, the intensity of smoke that you get off of a pellet smoker is just not quite the same as you get with like smoking wood chips. It's great. It's a cool, convenient way to smoke. It's just not quite the same. So what we're doing is we are adding a little bit more smoke to the environment. So as those pellets are burning and kicking out through here, they do pretty good. And we want to smoke low on this. The food we're bringing out is already cooked for the most part. The fresh stuff doesn't need to be cooked, and we're going to do grill stuff afterwards or flame throwing. So we don't really need to cook anything. We just need to smoke it. So that's important to know. So that means that the temperature of this needs to stay just low enough where we're getting awesome smoke, 150 to 180, and not so hot that our food's cooking and drying out, especially since we're going to go about 2 hours smoking. So I want to get extra smoke in that environment without adding extra heat. So I'm going to do this smoke tube. So what the smoke tube is, and you can buy them on Amazon. They're usually super silver right when you buy them. And it's just a stainless steel tube with holes in them. They come in octagon and round and whatever you want. I did octagon so it doesn't roll around in my grill. And down inside, you'll see I filled it with pellets to a certain degree. And you can fill it to the amount that you want the smoking time to be. And then after that, you just really turn this thing on and let those pellets start burning on their own. So we're going to take our torch thrower here. We can get it going. Come on. We're going to heat that thing up inside so that those pellets are roasting on their own. Once they're flaming hot, they're basically coals, and they will sit there and just smoke their way down the tube the whole time. I'm sure they're already there because this thing is so hot. It's really hard to do with one hand, but you get the idea. See what's going on there? Those pellets are going. So it's not hot on the bottom. So all I do is just take this, let it rock and roll over here on the surface. There we go. And they will just sit there and they will smoke for a while and add that much extra smoke to the environment. So we're just gonna let that go, and then we're gonna bring the food out here in a minute on the kebabs and let them smoke. All right, so we are going to chop up first some squash and zucchini, and we're going to cut them in sizes that are good for kebabs. We got these kebab sticks off Amazon that are stainless steel. They're a good, I forget, 14, 16 inches long, so that there's an area to hold on the end to manipulate the kebab without being in the food. And they're also, if we turn it, you see that they're flat instead of round, which allows you to skewer the food without the food like rolling across the kebab as you need to turn them and stuff. So we're going to use those. We're going to chop these in kebabable chunks, and then we're going to get the pineapple next. All right, so we're all chunked up in kebabable sized chunks. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this pineapple here, and we are going to do this Hawaiian style, and I'll show you what that means. First, we've got this knife. This is a pineapple knife, and any of you watching this that picked pineapples with me back as a young man in Hawaii will know exactly what this is, and you'll have flashbacks and you'll love it and hate it at the same time. And went to pick pineapples in Hawaii for about 9 months while I was in high school, and this is one of the souvenirs I came back with. But it's essentially a smooth piece of metal and with a blade, and you just take it right down the sides and take everything off in a really smooth manner. Alright, so when you pick pineapples as a young man, you learn to pick them by number as you go through the field. You build up real good wrist muscles by ripping them off the plants. That stub is right there. It sticks up on a stalk, and you snap it off, and you throw them on a conveyor belt. But you pick them based on color, and coloring equals a number when you're a pineapple picker. So I just picked this up from Costco. This is what we probably call like a number 3. It's got a little bit of ripening going on it. It probably needs to have more time to ripen. We're not going to have time for that today. I mean time in general for me to ripen it because I want to cook today. But essentially, you want it to start going, you already know this about pineapples, but be golder and yellower more up into the whole body, and that would make it a 4. And then it starts to get overripe, that's a 5 and a 6, and those are good for canning. Just all a bunch of side information. But the way we cut this with this pineapple knife is essentially get over a trash can, and you just go right down the side and take the skin off, just like that. And you don't worry about saving all the little flesh because it's got all that stuff anyway you don't want to eat. And you just go around and peel it off just like an apple, right? Get a little deeper to get those brown marks off. And don't worry about wasting too much pineapple. A little bit of a circular around the outside will save you a little more flesh. But we're just interested for these kebabs today in doing nice big chunks of fresh pineapple. And you can tell right away when you're cutting a pineapple that's a 3, not a 4. You can just tell it's tougher up top because of that green area. And that's why it's also a little not as flavorful. This is going to be really good though. It smells so wonderful. Alright, so we're down through basically all of the pineapple. I'm going to shave off a couple of the bigger brown spots because that's like eating corn husk almost. Alright, and then the last thing you do essentially is you can take the bottom off of this. So over here on the cutting board, I'm just going to, you can do it with the same knife or another one, but you just take the bottom off just like that. And you got your beautiful pineapple. And so we're going to take this and slice it into nice big chunks to put on our kebab. Take the top off, and you may not know this, but when you pick pineapples, this piece right on the top, this is also the part that grows the plant. So when it's a full pineapple, we just rip the top right off and put that on the conveyor belt, and they actually reuse these to plant right in the ground to create the pineapple plants. The pineapple plant looks just like this, but much, much larger, and the stem pops out and the pineapple grows right on top of it. All right, so lastly, we've got this, this big pineapple. If you were in a pineapple cannery, this is basically the shape it takes when the size of a can, they take this about the size of a can through a thing, and it just shaves all the sides off, and you get the middle, and the core comes out of it, and then you have your rings and all that happening. What we're going to do is something similar, but we're just going to get the good stuff by slicing right around the core in nice big chunky wedges here. Sometimes when they're super ripe, even that core is yummy as can be, but this one's like I said, it's about a 3 in ripeness, so that core would be like eating a corn stalk right now. And you know when you're around the core because it gets stiffer as you cut into it. So the stuff that cuts really nicely is the edible stuff. And there we go. So basically cored it. We got some snack pieces, and this is going to turn into big chunky chunks that we can put on skewers. You know, 1 to 1.5 inch chunks here. Boom. Alright, so for the kebabs, which are just about ready to go, we got our pineapple chunked up. We talked about that. We are now going to put a sauce on those before we smoke them. And I'm basically grabbing some of the properties from different types of kebabs that I would like. I want some of that kind of the orangey flavor. I've got a Panda Express orange sauce, but I don't want just that. I don't want it to be basically a Chinese, you know, knockoff. I want some of the properties of teriyaki, which gives me some of the soy and the garlic and the sesame. And then I like a little bit of spice in just about everything, so I'm going to use some of this firecracker sauce from Johnny's. And when I put those 3 together, I should get something that I can brush on that's going to make it pretty good. So this stuff's pretty thick. This is going to be brushed on, so I don't need to make a ton of it. I'm going to go about 2 parts orange, 1 part teriyaki, and just a couple splashes of fire. I don't want it to take over. And we are just going to whisk that all together. And then we're going to make some kebabs here. I'll show you those in just a second. And then we're going to brush it on because the meat is ready. And we'll brush it on and take it out to the smoker, which is already ready. All right, so down here, if you focus down here, you'll notice that we've got our pork loins out. You can see they're very seasoned and ready to go. We're going to cut them in half so they can fit on the kebab. Just cut them in half, and then you'll get probably about 2 of these per kebab, basically depending on how much meat you want in your kebab, right? So there we go. We got small chunks ready to go. Over here, we've got everything else. We've got our peppers, which I sliced off camera. Red, yellow, orange peppers to make it colorful. Cherry tomatoes, our squashes, and our pineapple are ready to go. I'm going to grab a skewer, and then you can just set these up or let your kids set them up or whoever's doing this with you. Everything probably ought to go sideways, which is great that we have these flat skewers. Sideways is going to let you fit more on there. So you can see that a piece of pineapple would take up the whole skewer. So we're just going to go sideways with it so we can still have the pineapple, but enjoy as much food on this thing as we can. I got 2 yellows together. That's an art foul right there. All right, so we got our couple pieces of squash. Throw on some colorful peppers, and these peppers, you see I sliced them in half so that they're skinny and thin, but we still get the flavor of them. So we go orange, a little bit of red. We're gonna throw a cherry tomato on here. Come back to another piece of meat because that's what it's all about, is the meat. At the end of the day, anyway, for me. And maybe another piece of another piece of pineapple. Everybody loves the pineapple. Go sideways with that. Maybe another piece of pepper. Some more squash. Almost there. And of course a cherry on top. But we're gonna throw one more little thing in here. The cherry on top actually works out pretty good because it holds the whole thing together. So there we go. I'm gonna put it over on the tray, and we're gonna do just a bunch of those and then sauce them up. For saucing, we're just going to take that sauce we all saw earlier, get a silicone brush, which is always the best, easiest way to sauce these things, and we're just going to hit it all the way down, nice and juicy with that stuff. Be very liberal about it because we got plenty of sauce. Flip it once, which is going to be easier because we have flat skewers instead of round ones. Just where that benefit comes in. We're going to get that orange, teriyaki, soy, pepper sauce all over this thing, and then we're going to take these out and smoke them. All right, we are about to get these out on the smoker. You can see it's kicking between the smoke tube and the low and slow right now. And then I brought these out, but I really don't even need them because what's cool about these skewers that are nice and flat, they've got a handle on them. So we're just gonna bring these down into here. The smoke tube, you can see the smoke tube is just slowly smoking back on its own to add more smoke to the mix. And these puppies are gonna be smoky shortly. We're gonna give them 2 hours. Get the pineapple and the veggies all smoked and the meat. And obviously the veggies are still gonna be firm because they aren't cooked yet, but when we go and do a grill afterwards, it'll finish softening them up, and then it should be perfect to eat. All right, so we're basically done here. These have been smoking for 2 hours, and you can see that the meat has changed color, the pineapple and the vegetables have shrunk up just a touch. They're ready to go. For grilling, we're not going to grill on a grill. I know the grill lines are beautiful to people. That's just because that's what they're used to. But really, with grilling, what we're liking is the blackness and kind of the grill flavor. We're going to get that with a blowtorch instead because it's super quick. And I don't really need to grill these and dry it out any more than it is, right? So we're just going to torch them real quick to get some of that flavor, and then we're going to be done and ready to eat them. Hey everybody, just chilling out after that wonderful kebab meal I had with my kids tonight. We totally loved it. Um, Enjoying a scotch outside at night. It's just a wonderful night, and looking at the stars. And I was thinking, hey, after everything you do with cooking and smoking, there's little things you can learn and tips and tricks to share. So the one thing about the kebabs tonight that I would adjust would be that the cook time in the Instapot that I set for 20 minutes, I'd probably only give them like 15 next time. They were done really, really well. I mean, they were still juicy because it was pressure cooking, but they were done that they fell apart probably a little too easily on the kebabs and that kind of thing. But other than that, it tasted really well. The grilling and all of that was just wonderful. We just had it with mac and cheese and some strawberry lemonade and just kind of ate it normal summer food style. It was great. So hopefully you guys learned something and enjoyed this, and maybe you'll go try it yourself.